My last adventure was to the island of Dominica in the
Mm,
Caribbean, and I
right.
traveled there to the Kalinago territory. It's the home of the Carib people, the original indigenous community of the
Yeah.
Caribbean. And
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and they got a direct hit from Hurricane Maria and lived through it without losing a single person. It was a
Wow.
Category 5 storm that hit them directly. So they're said to be the most resilient people in the world. And since I work around disaster resilience and helping prepare communities for that, I wanted to really check out what they got going, how they do it. And so I traveled out there, and they have there's a chief and the shaman and all these different neighborhoods, and I got to stay with the guy who's going to be the next chief, and got to hang
Oh,
out at
wow.
night with the shaman, who's also a singer and a guitar player, and his wife's a great singer, and so we got to have quite an experience, and they grow everything that they eat. They grow most of it right there on their own property, and they live in lush jungles, and so it was an absolutely beautiful experience, and it actually, the topography of their little region reminds me so much of the rugged terrain of the Pacific Northwest coastline, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was really refreshed because Miami's super duper flat, and
Right.
it's nice to get where there's lush, high elevation, steep grades, and really beautiful ocean. I love that so much. So I
That's why you
definitely
need to
would
come
give.
to Panama.
I would love to come to Panama, and everybody should go see the Kalinago territory. It's really an incredible place in Dominica.
Yeah, I would love to see Dominica. We need to get them on the show as well and highlight that destination. I
Let's
like
do it.
I like being able to highlight these smaller indigenous destinations where people can have an authentic type of experience as opposed to always going to what's most common and more commercial, I would say, in the Caribbean area. So that would be kind of
Ab-
cool to be able to talk with them.
Absolutely. I've been to the Caribbean a number of times, but this is the first time I actually went into a an indigenous territory, and where I wasn't
Hmm.
staying in hotels and stuff, but I was or guest houses. But this was they've got all these cute little huts and houses, and they go up to higher level stays. But it was a retreat center, and I think that it's set up for the intrepid adventure traveler in a really great way, and definitely a great spot to go.
Well, David, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your strategies of stretching the dollar, and then ideas and your thoughts about what you're going to do on this particular trip coming up this week and what's on your bucket list. This is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster. I'll be back in a minute.
We're a generation of beach-loving, fun-binging vacationers.
That's right, my generation.
That's why Beaches Resorts is #1 for Generation Everyone. With the best water parks in the Caribbean and more land and water sports than anyone, including unlimited scuba. Plus Sesame Street characters for the kids and up to 21 fabulous restaurants for everyone. All included. Beaches, Generation Everyone.
To book your beaches vacation, contact Peaks Cruises and Tours at 512-529-3696. Welcome back to Your Bucket List Buster. I'm Karen Duncan, your host, and we're talking to David McDougal, who's going to give us some tips on traveling on a budget and talking about this upcoming bucket list trip that we're going to be taking together. So, David, let's talk about some of the
Cool. So let's kind of talk about, you find different ways to stretch the dollar when you travel. Obviously, you go to places for a month to 6 weeks, and you can stretch it to 3 months. So tell us some of your strategies for being able to do that.
I think it's actually kind of simple. So one is that I like to stay in, like when I was traveling in Pakistan and India, I would stay in the lower income areas in a in a hotel or guest house that was actually like very much embedded right into the most urban core area. And so part of it is just setting yourself up so that you're not in a tourist luxury zone, but you're actually in the area where the lower middle class or working class people work and live and eat and do all their things. And so one of my one of my mantras is I want to live like I want to travel like I live there. So I love to show up and act as if right when I get off the plane and arrive that I try to get into the most basic living kind of experience where you're hanging out and being at the local spot and getting to know people and not having this long list of, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, but being much more about kind of immersing myself and getting acquainted with an area and then seeing what it kind of has to offer and how things can emerge from that. So it's just an attitude thing, but it's also about kind of planting myself in the right spot from the beginning, which is generally being very, very based right there. I also do a lot of work to build relationships before I show up so that I've got the right kind of person that's showing me around and getting me set up. And I typically have never hired travel agents or anything like that, even when I've organized trips for my students, where we work with local people on the ground that can help us identify what would be a really rich personal experience. And I think travel agents can really get you to that. But I also think that typically when you ask those people that aren't in that field, they're going to just introduce you to what they would, a family or friend that comes into town and what they would do. So I think there's a great way to do some of that. But it's also those are some of the things that I do.
But that's interesting because, when I was getting my master's in travel and tourism, one of the projects that I did research on is how to get people to go to new destinations. What I have found for the most part, and one of the reasons that travel agents are being used are because people have a nervousness about going to a new destination that they've never been before. Most people will not go to a place that they've never been if they have not met someone that's already done it. And and then that you find that once they find a place and they find that they're comfortable there, they tend to repeat that destination year after year because they know what to expect once they get there, and they don't want to take the challenge of going to a new place that's foreign and then not having the same type of experience during that time off. So it's really interesting that you go and you get immersed into the community. And one of the questions I have for you is, have you ever been worried about security? Because that's why most people would say they would not do that.
Yeah, I'd say that I haven't been terribly worried about security. Part of it is that I grew up being a backwoods backpacker and snow camper, and somebody who, with my cousins and my friends, I learned how to be self-sufficient and get out into the elements and be able to manage and deal with whatever came at me. And so I think that I brought a lot of that. And I also come from like a pioneer Oregon Trail family background. And so I just have this sense that I think that we could go down there and go around the corner and whatever comes at us, we could figure it out. That said, I have had a few scares. I once was in China. I was with a number of young Muslim guys out in the western part of China, Chinese Muslims, and we went on a hike up into the mountains. And they brought a gun with them, and they did turn the gun on me and ask me for all my money while we were up there. But I spoke enough Chinese and was able to redirect them and have us continue with our mission, which was to shoot some rabbits and then turn around and come back. And they were pretty naive and young and didn't know what they were doing, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And long story short, I just had to be kind of ready to be confident and roll with things and redirect. And a lot my past challenges, I learned things and I was able to kind of apply that. But I think I'm unusual that I'm really willing to jump into challenging new situations. And
Yes, you
in my
are.
later life, I've learned to be more careful, but I still have found that I haven't had too many run-ins with danger in a way that's been too frightening for me. For my
Right.
mother, it's another story. She's been awfully frightened by the trips that I've taken.
I
But
bet
she
she
is,
has.
yeah, but I think that she also has seen that I've done it enough, and that things generally go right, and a little less anxiety now as I travel and continue doing all that.
Well, she's probably realizing now that you've become smarter, and
Thank God.
you probably would not take some of the chances that you took as a young person,
I think that's
because
right.
we do get wiser as we get older, but it is it's frightening for a parent to know that our children are out there taking chances and we're not there to protect them, especially someplace so far away. But I mean, that's how we grow as humans. At least that's the way I look at it. That's, going to these different destinations and you having those experiences, all of them, has turned you into the person you are today, and you're not through traveling. So let's talk about your new adventure and what you're planning. So we are headed.
Yes.
You're headed there first, and you're making a stop on the way. So we're headed to Tokyo. I gave the audience a list of where we're about to be traveling. But you're headed to Tokyo first, but you're spending the night someplace on the way. Where is that?
Yes, actually, I'm spending the long day. I arrive at 8 a.m. in Doha, Qatar, which is in the Arabian Peninsula, and so I will arrive there during the day, and then my flight is at the very end of the night, around 11 p.m. to fly to Tokyo. So I have a full day in Doha, and there are beautiful white sand beaches, and the Persian Gulf is there. So I plan to spend a little bit of time on the beach.
Okay.
I am gonna do a one of the city tours because I heard it's really good. I've got a friend that works for Qatar Airlines, and so she's hooking me up with that free tour.
Nice.
And so I'm going to check it out, what you would see from a sort of a tourist angle. And then I do want to go to the Islamic Art Museum and some of the museums that they've got there because they're quite impressive. It's also the world headquarters for Al Jazeera Media. And Al Jazeera produces so much media content with a staff that's mainly comprised of former BBC folks, but also a lot of other new people. And I'm excited to check out the Al Jazeera setup too, if I can get in there.
So how long a trip? What's the flight time between Miami and Qatar?
Gosh, I don't know. I plan that I'll just hop on that plane and get off when it's done. But I think it's maybe like 8 hours or something, maybe 6 hours. I don't remember. Sorry.
So it's long enough for you to sleep. That's what I was thinking about. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, he's going to be exhausted by the time he gets, that I'm still a mom, and that's the way I think about sleeping.
No, I'm gonna try to sleep as much as I can on the flight so I can be up and running and ready to go. But part of my going early to Tokyo is so that I can fully adjust. And I do like this. I did ask for a layover, or I tried to get a layover on the way over, also to help cut down on that adjustment. And so hopefully when I arrive in Tokyo, I'll be able to pick up and go, but I do know that I might need to rest a little bit.
Yeah. We get there at 8:30 at night their time, which we leave Chicago at 5 p.m. It's just going to be a mess. I'm going to be a total mess, and I don't do long flights well, but I'm going to take a positive attitude about this one. I'm going to take me some melatonin too, and I'm going to sleep.
Good thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to. So let's talk about what you've done to prepare for this trip. So what have you looked into for Tokyo? Where are you staying? or have you even decided? Because when I talked to you last, you hadn't decided where you were staying.
Yeah, I'm still putting it together in terms of plans and preparations for the